I'm Andrew Brace, and I'd like to welcome you to the first in a series of Breeders' Masterclasses which are brought to you by Eukanuba and Dog World. So let me introduce you to the four experts who will give their opinions for us today. Dr. Göran Bordegaard, Liz Cartledge, Frank Kane, Jason Lynn. Now the first question I have for the panel is, when you judge, what is your first priority when you see a dog come into your ring? So obviously it has to be ladies first. Liz.
Well, the class comes into the ring, I normally send them round, and then I hope that there's going to be one in that ring going round that's going to say something special to me. When I then get it on a one-to-one, when it's standing in front of me, well, the first thing, I guess, you look for type and balance. Thank you.
Frank, what about you when you first see that dog in the ring?
I go for the shape of the breed. Is it the right shape for the breed, and is the shape held on the move? If it's the right shape and it's held on the move, that's the first category for me.
Göran.
Well, the first thought I have is there any show dog in this class, or are there only dogs being shown at the dog show?
Interesting point.
And then, of course, I look at the outlines, the type and the balance, and hope for the best, just as Liz said. Is this going to satisfy my reason for being a dog judge?
From the handling perspective, Jason, when you've got a dog there and it goes into me to judge for the first time, what are you hoping that judge is going to pick out in your dog that might be a little bit different?
Well, I think as the dog enters the ring, there's that moment as the dog walks in that you hope, whether it's his carriage or the entrance that he makes, you hope it catches the judge's eye. And considering that you have such a short time, really, to make an impression, you hope that you can have the dog where he needs to be, looking the part when the judge turns around to make his initial glance at the lineup.
So basically, from both sides of the coin, we're all talking about something that happens in seconds. Trudy can put our experts on the spot.
I think we touched on this earlier. So do you judge just to the breed standard, or do you take into consideration other factors such as star quality and showmanship?
Göran.
Oh yes, of course we do. I mean, if we spend most of our time, free time, covering the world and judging dogs, there has been a reason for that. We are not going around to just sort of eliminate bad ones. We are looking for something all the time, and we have to judge according to the standard, of course, and star quality alone is not enough. But of course, you cannot know 450 breeds like we have in the FCI as well. So sometimes you are being seduced by the star quality, and you get criticized for not having spotted that detail and that deal in the standard, which you should do. Basically, we should always judge according to the standard.
So, Liz, are you frequently seduced by star quality, or is it just the breed standard that you judge to?
I'd take a bit of seducing. Well, the standard is our guide, and we all read it before we judge. But of course there are other matters that come into it. The dog's got to be on form. It's no good being a wonderful specimen that fits the standard if it's not in the right body weight, if it's not showing, if it's not moving. It's got to have presence and style and all of those things. That it's a lot of little things that make a good one.
Frank.
The breed standard first. It's that is of paramount importance. If you're lucky enough to get two wonderful dogs which are very close and very equal to each other, then that's when performance on the day, judging on the day, comes in. But the first thing is which is closest to the breed standard, and then if you've got two equal, then the star quality and presence and carriage will finish it off for me.
If I can just sort of reword Trudy's question ever so slightly for Jason, and get him to comment not on the judges, from the judge's angle, but from the handler's angle, when you're preparing then a dog for stardom, and you're looking at that dog, how much of it is nuts and bolts of breed standard, and how much of it is that X factor?
Well, certainly the X factor plays its role. I mean, it's not to say, as people have said before, I mean, there is a breed standard that you're judging to. There are considerations about type and soundness and correctness, but certainly, you know, we'll have a new puppy arrive in the kennel and we put him on the lead for the first time, and you can feel it down the lead. You can feel something exciting about this dog, and occasionally it's not because he's the most correct. I mean, that he may be lacking in certain areas where maybe a breed purist would fault him on, but you know, we know that we can sort of market this dog almost to a broader audience who maybe won't clue in on some of the more minute details of the breed, and certainly his star quality will help him be a successful dog.
Just out of interest, and nothing to do with Trudy's question, but at what age do you feel you can spot that magical X factor?
We've had puppies that we look at in the run that as babies and think, you know, this particular puppy never gallops with the others. She's always trotting. She has a natural rhythm to her that the others don't seem to have. And every morning you'll go out to feed the puppies and you'll glance and that puppy will catch your eye time and again. And you know, occasionally, like we have poodles as well, and you might have a litter of 7 black poodles, but somehow one catches your eye every time you look in the box, and you don't always know why, but it's your instinct telling you something about this puppy is right, and usually your instinct is right.
Usually you're right. It's an interesting one. Do you feel that sometimes you see dogs that if they were fed higher quality foods they would do better in the show ring, presumably meaning that they weren't in optimum condition? Aaron?
Well, I started my dog life in England where, with the little old ladies, never used any extras or anything, natural meat and Spratz biscuits, and had a Jersey cow down somewhere in the garden to provide all the extras. I think life has become much simpler with a good substantial food that is available to dog people nowadays than before, and definitely you can get the opinion sometimes that this is not a dog that is thriving in all respects.
Well, I worked for an old lady too, and it was biscuit meal and cutting up horrible tripe, and they looked very fit on that, but we've moved on from that, and I think good feeding does make a difference. Of course it does. Many good foods are available now. Some suit some breeds and some dogs, and you have to do it by trial and error, but I think of course it makes a difference to the end product.
Now, Frank, do you find dogs that you feel if they were better nourished they would probably do better in the ring?
Well, I don't go around guessing which food a dog is fed on. That's the first thing. But
that wasn't actually the question.
No, but I do think that good feeding is part of the husbandry, which comes with exercise, socialization, and good feeding are the 3 essentials to make a dog look fit, both in mind and body.
I think probably Aaron used a very appropriate word when he said you can tell that a dog is thriving.
Yes.
And it's that general
both
sense of
and
well-being,
yes.
mentally and physically. I'm sure that you'll agree that we've had some very interesting opinions expressed during the session, and I hope, if nothing else, that we've given you a little encouragement to go out there and breed that next world-class show dog. Thank you for attending.